Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good and you?
I'm good. No complaints. Hey, Kim.
Hey.
Oh, this reminds me. I need to watch your shark video. I tried to do it
Ooh,
Thursday, but then I had a meeting come up. So
Oh yeah, I have. No, let me grab my earphones.
it
So we
was
got
so good.
let's see the background.
This curl just doesn't want to let me live. It's like, please stay. So, how's everything going, Jazzy? Good?
everything is going good. Some good news. I signed a new offer yesterday for a new job.
Wait, save it.
So
Save it for wins. Save it for wins. That's
I
exciting.
forgot we do that.
Yes, new job. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, God, am I supposed to really big in this?
Morning, Shemay.
Good morning.
Welcome
Girl, how have
back.
you been?
Keeks, is that wallpaper or is that a Zoom background?
This is a a ghetto rigged a backdrop,
I like
and
it.
I pinned it up. So it's a 3D, so it kind of gives you that kind of
Yeah,
texture.
I like it.
Hey,
I like it a lot. Morning, Crystal.
Good morning.
Ooh, poor baby. I'll give it like another minute as I sip my morning drink.
I have literally 3 drinks here.
Really? Do
I have
share.
coffee. I have my Starbucks with 4 shots. I have my Aranciata Rossi
Yes,
Rasa.
that's my joint right there.
Oh my God! And then I
I
have
love it.
good old aqua.
Agua,
For-
agua fresca.
yeah, agua. Yes. hmm But first we must caffeinate.
Yeah, I was feeling like that's how it was gonna go, but I went with a pineapple passion ginger drink.
Oh,
Oh, that sounds fancy.
It
I
is
mean,
fancy, you know. Had to hit up the Jamaican spot yesterday.
ooh, that
Get
sounds
my
like it came
good
from the
good.
lakes of Lake Minnetonka.
I feel so, it's the vitality for me this morning, you know.
Mm, hmm
That ginger just
it'll wake you up.
hits. Let me share
Whew.
this. Oh, hold on. Can y'all see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey,
Yes.
G.
Okay, cool. Good morning.
Oh,
Boom. Okay. Zoom, zoom, zoom. All right. I'm gonna mute all of y'all, or you can mute yourself, whichever works. Wonderful. Okay. Good morning, everybody. It's so nice to see your faces, even if it's just a picture. I get it. No pressure. um, I hope everybody's well and things are going well for you so far in the second year of 2021. Hopefully February is treating you well. I look at all of them as years at this particular point because that's how they feel. Quite frankly, the year of January was long and dismal. So February is looking better. So I wanted, as usual, to kind of start off with an overview, but then I want to get into some wins. Today we'll do our wins. We'll talk about, what you all are doing that you want to shout out. I want to talk briefly about the survey that I just sent out yesterday. So I'll talk a bit about that and some other updates. And then I kind of thought it was a good idea to frame today's discussion around those of you who plan to be involved in the book club. It is Black History Month after all. Not that that matters for me because I'm black, blackity black all the damn time. But you know, since we have a whole month to do these things, it's worth noting that we do have a book club that's going to be happening on February 27th. It's going to be like a normal meeting, only we're not going to be just shooting the crap. We're going to actually talk about this book, Shades of Difference, Why Color Matters. It is centered around the topic of colorism, which is, you know, a very thorny topic for us folk. You know, so racism's one thing, and it's a whole nother thing when you come to the realization that like we do it to ourselves, right? And so I thought today would be a good time to just kind of share with you some of the framework that I use for having those discussions, since it is a book club and it's going to be very conversational. I think it is foolhardy for us to think that even as, you know, BIPOC women, that things can't go awry in a discussion like that. So I'm going to share some of my framework that I'm using actively with clients and such, and we can talk about it, and hopefully it's helpful to you even if you don't plan to be part of the book club. I think it's just good food for thought for these discussions anyway, as many of us do this kind of work in real life. So that's what we will do. But before we get all serious, let's talk about wins. Oh shoot, what the hell is, hold on, my bad. There we go. Wins. So who wants to go first? I'm going to put myself on mute and just jump in wherever you want to.
Hey guys. I want to go first because usually if I go last, somebody says something that makes me feel like I should have went first. So I'm gonna go ahead and get mine out the way. um, so a couple of wins. As you probably already know, I did a talk with Kirsten, Trap in the Shark. I think that's the name of it. Forgive me if I got it wrong. I was nervous as heck going into that thing. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I was scared. But it went really well. I felt very comfortable. And I have to say, this is the first time that I think I have actually publicly acknowledged that while I still have somewhat of an interest in a kinship to HR, I'm kind of sliding out of that realm and going more towards the spiritual and wellness and holistic space. So I was able to find a way to kind of reframe myself in that way. And it's the first time I think I've actually said it out loud in public. And it felt really good. And it felt really good not to care what anybody thought of it. That was very liberating. So I am so profoundly grateful for the opportunity, although it scared the crap out of me, to have done that. And that's a win in and of itself. I don't even really have to go any further than that. A second win for me would be being able to host this book club coming up later this month. And I think those who all thought that I would have been good for doing that, because I was going to really stay in the back and be like, But for those who encouraged me to do that, I thank you. And I'm really excited about doing that. So yeah, and I'm caffeinated, so that's a win, or getting there. So those are my wins for the day, or for the week, month, whatever. So thank you so much for the opportunity to share.
I'll go next. My win for this month is I have, after a few months of interviewing, I have finally found a new job, which I'm extremely excited about. It's for a global manufacturing company here in Huntsville. So I have more details coming soon, but the interview process went extremely well, and I'm excited to join a team and leave my old company behind. So, but that is my win.
I'll go. I am going to be quoted in an upcoming article in Forbes. That was a big bucket list item for me in my path to, because it's one of those publications that I've wanted to write for. And so typically quotes and feature interviews kicks open those doors. So I'll be excited for that to drop and to share that publicly. And also, I am going to be launching a second podcast with the HR Happy Hour Network um, called the Inclusion Crusade, which will really allow me to tag on to some larger guests because their network and listenership is much bigger. So I'll do an episode a month um, and really just utilize that brand to land myself some bigger guests that I can then transition over to my own podcast to get me some greater listenership. And it's a paid opportunity. And that is going to enable me to finally hire a real social media content manager. Praise God, so that I can get out of Canva purgatory, making my own memes and stuff, and hand that arduous task of my social media calendar off to somebody else. Amen.
Anybody else? Deonta. Who else is on there? Crystal.
Hey, good morning, ladies. Don't have my camera on. I'm in the gym trying to get these last few things in, but I don't feel like I have any professional wins right now. It has been just open season, and so I feel like I'm swimming. I'm swimming against the rapids right now. But I guess if I have a win, it's me being back in the gym, being consistent, having some me time. With work and everything, it could be very stressful. And for a while there, I wasn't being as consistent. And this is really my me time where I get to think, I can generate ideas, and it just helps me to restore. So that's where I am today. And congratulations to everyone and everything that's going on there.
I'll go next. Yes, congratulations to everyone. Jazzy, Sarah, Kimberly, excuse me, Diantha, big ups to y'all. So I did something personally. I tried 3 times, and it's a big thing for me because I used to be a gym rat, and not just with COVID, but some other things. Have not been to the gym, physically in I guess a year now. But I was trying this jump rope challenge, tried it 3 times, and I finally finished on Wednesday. Went for 31 days jumping rope. The last day was the devil because if you think you can jump 900, 1,000 times, you can't. It took me the entire day, but I finished. So that's what's important that I did that, and that's the thing I'm celebrating the most today. And just thankful for my, TTPC sisters who continue to support the things that I do by coming and being guests on all of the wacky things that I like to do. Trap Chat with the Shark. And Jasmine is going to be on next week. So that's another one. We're doing Black History Month for real, for real. I am not allowing anyone to make me feel bad about celebrating our blackness anymore. I'm not going to bring on any guests on any of my shows that I don't align with. I've been saying no to more stuff because it does not work for me. And I'm just happy about that. And lastly, sorry, I signed a contract with Hiretool to be their partner, and I'll have my first podcast with them excuse me, my first webinar with them on the 16th of February.
Okay, I guess I'll go. So I will be speaking at Innovation Circus on February 25th. Innovation Circus is kind of the innovative leg to what a few of the ladies and I did last year for TA Global Gatherings. It's the same company, recruitment events, and they're allowing me another, radical battle cry. So the talk this time is cultivating conscious citizenship. And so I'll be talking about our sordid history with white philanthropy and saviorism and those sorts of things, and how it affects our social good efforts as individuals and organizations. So that will be happening on February 25th. So I'm really excited about that. My website is very near to being done. You guys will probably get pinged very soon, so you can go take a look and see all of the rebranding that I've been working on for the last 3 months. I'm really excited about it because it's like, it feels like a convergence of all the pieces of me for like the last 10 years that I've been out here. So it's like everything is there and it's every bit me. It's from colors and everything, nothing is conventional. So I'm really excited about that. And in about a week and a half, I'm finally moving personally. Finally, don't ask why it hasn't happened. Just don't ask, but it's happening. And so I am very excited about that. And it looks like I might be living the bi-coastal life. So, but I'll tell you more about that maybe next meeting, because there's a reason for the bi-coastal living. So stay tuned. ... Dun, dun, dun. It's a big one. Let's save it for March. Oh God, it's Kirsten's face for me. She like, but why we can't know now? Why we gotta? Oh my gosh. So wanted to speak briefly about the annual TTPC Executive Council survey. Big ups to Kirsten, Jasmine, Celinda, Kimberly for, helping me kind of pull this all together. But what we wanted to do as an executive council was to have a baseline yearly for us to ascertain exactly how we're serving you, basically. How we're serving you, what are your needs, how can this particular group be the one-stop shop, for a lot of different things, or at least insofar as the things I said I was going to commit to, which is education, philanthropy, the collaboration piece, offense, and then, just membership sorts of considerations. So that all went out yesterday. You all should have an email, and we would greatly appreciate if you could participate, so that we understand, exactly how to collaborate with you, work with you, contact you from a communication standpoint, and just overall what you need, so that that can all be considered in planning. And what's really cool is once it's all done, so the window is from yesterday to next Friday, but when it's all done, all of the respective strategies that were submitted are being put into a report by my assistant. And so that'll be made available to you so you can see exactly, what each strategy is, what the focus is for the year, and see what we are doing behind the scenes, other than just meeting, like we're really working. We out here doing things. And one more note, the website is coming along nicely. So now that the Town Think is kind of wrapping up, that's going to be my next focus, is the TTPC site, but it really looks good so far. I'm super excited. It's going to be the sort of thing where you for members, they'll have the back end. So it'll be a central place for like people that just want to learn about the group. But for you all, it'll be a very inclusive kind of experience where you're not in Drive. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but you know, at least it'll be one comprehensive place where you can go and find all things TTPC. So I would say give or take another month or so, and I'll be able to unleash it. I'll give you guys a walkthrough when it's all done. Okay, so wanted to talk about, you know, for those that do plan to be part of the book club and all of that. As I said, I find that there's some useful things when we're going to have these discussions. And I do think that, you know, although yes, we're all Black women, you know, women of color, whatever your flavor, I think it's foolhardy to think we can have these discussions and there are not going to be differences of opinions. And so, you know, as the head of the group, I think it's worthy for us to kind of go through some basic things, but they're not so basic when you're angry, you know, or when somebody has said something that doesn't quite resonate. So these root work ground rules are actually part of a training that I've been piloting for probably the last 7 to 8 months, and they seem to work really well. And I figured if I'm gonna give it away to the white folk, why not with my own? Why not share the jewels here? So before we even get into that, when we talk, the book that we're looking at is on colorism. And so, you know, that's something that I think is picking up steam, but it's one of those offshoot topics that I think people kind of stick away from because it is thorny, right? Because you're talking about, you know, people who are, I guess, at the same rung in the minority chatter, basically putting each other in buckets and doing the same thing that white folks have done, right? But when it comes to having those discussions in a meaningful way, it helps to, especially around colorism, it helps to know that there's like a shared collective experience that we all have of it. And then there's the nuance of like, we all have different lived experiences, right? And I think one of the things that really speaks well to that dynamic is this concept of post-traumatic slave disorder. I think those that are super close to me know I bang my drum quite a bit about Dr. Joy DeGroy because I really think that she's gotten to the core of why so much of what has been experienced, racism, any isms, otherwise, why it cuts so deep, but particularly racism. Because for all of us on this call, none of us really experienced slavery, right? And maybe even it's a few generations back, if not a lot for a lot of us. But there's a collective pain behind it, and it's one you can't quite shake. It makes you angry. It feels very primal. And so this is kind of what she's come to with this whole notion of post-traumatic slave disorder being a condition that exists when a population has experienced multi-generational trauma resulting from centuries of slavery. So that is to say that it's not even ours per se, but it's ours passed down. Like the human body only has a certain capacity for pain, anguish. So when you consider all what happened to us historically, no matter what part of the diaspora you come from, it hits differently, but it's deep. You know, it's felt. And it's something that feels resonant, which is why so many people get angry in these sorts of conversations. So again, when it comes to colorism, I think part of the issue with it, and this is not to, you know, speak ahead of the book, is I think that people are unwilling to define it, you know, like, and my thing to most of my clients is you can't heal what you can't define, right? If we don't have a working definition of like what these social maladies are, like that is consistent across the board, like how do you begin to heal it? You don't. It's the same way that like you'll have, you know, some person of color who says back to you, you know, who might be white presenting or white adjacent, that you're racist as a Black person, when clearly the very definition of racism is one where it includes Black people not kind of creating that situation. It's a white construct. So by proxy, I can't be that, but like people want, there's like an oppression Olympics, you know, that's kind of what colorism comes down to. It's like, who's been more marginalized, like who's been hurt the worst, you know, like, and how can I make some other group pay or feel bad for that, you know, and how can I compartmentalize people based on, you know, whatever that experience is. So while we may not have that issue at all, I think it serves us to go into that conversation thinking about it from a healing perspective, more so than, well, what did that person mean, you know, or why did that person say that? Like, we are all at different stages, I think, of understanding the conditioning and all the things that led to so many of the things that we experience, colorism being one of them. And so we have to kind of hold some space and have some grace, I think, for that journey, if any of us, you know, require that. So in all of these conversations, I don't have to tell you, it's the communication that causes people the most angst. Like, I think coming to it on your own, you can make your own assumptions about why things are the way they are. But when you have to, good morning. But when you have to actually sit with people and synthesize the things that you're thinking and saying about a topic, it gets thorny. And so my whole goal pretty much in my work has been to really get people to communicate more effectively. Like, it's not even the issue of colorism. It's not necessarily the issue of racism per se. It's people's inability to communicate or not that gets them in trouble in these conversations. So these are like my root work ground rules, so to speak, and I'll explain them all. So when we're having really, really difficult conversations, I feel like it's good to have some ground rules and some understanding of, like, you know, some basic premises to get through the conversation so that you have something to come back to. And when I talk about root work, I'll give you some background on why it's called that. When you think about like the chakras, for instance, or the bottom rung of like Maslow's hierarchy, it's all red. It's like your basis, your foundation. So on Maslow's hierarchy, your physiological needs, that's where that's at. It's at the base. It's the basic things. Do you have water? You know, do you get adequate sleep? You know, like, are you making enough money to like support yourself? That kind of thing, like basic things, healthcare, reproductive care. The root chakra deals basically with your foundations, the beginnings of your life. So when I talk to people about, you know, having some ground rules for your root work, it's, you know, dealing with yourself at the most basic level of your humanity, right? You know, how do you like to be communicated with? You know, how do you relate to people? Getting ahead of some of those challenges, remembering things like empathy. We'll get there. So that's where the root work comes from. It's a basic premise to keep you grounded in these sorts of conversations that can often go awry. So the first thing is listening with intention of hearing. Sounds basic, and probably most of us in this room do it well, but my observation is people do it really horribly. Most people listen with the intention to rebut because everybody wants to have that clutch clap back, right? Everybody wants to seem like the smart person in the room or whatever the case is in the moment. When what you might need to do is just hear. I find when I listen more to what people are actually saying, I have a much better basis for debate later, right? Because now I've heard you thoroughly, right? I've heard everything that's come out of your mouth and I've committed it to memory. And so now we can have a different conversation when I ask you to clarify certain points for me. But if my whole thing is to just hear what I want to hear and clap back, we're not going to get anywhere. So that's the first piece. Listen with the intention of hearing. Everything is personal and nothing is personal. I know that sounds strange, but it is what it is, right? So there's kind of a weird paradox I found in my own walk in life and also in business that, yes, there are people who are absolutely trying to come for you, right? And that's clear. That's often clear, and sometimes it's not. But like when people are speaking, I find more often than not, they're speaking from their lived experience, right? In that way, it's not personal. Like if something affronts you, it's not personal. It's just who they are. It's just their walk, you know? And I feel like in these conversations, it's important to be able to differentiate what is an actual personal attack versus, you know, what is just somebody sharing their lived experience, which happens to be different from your own. So in that way, it's like everything is personal because, and I say everything is personal because we're human beings, right? And so for us and the way we process things as humans, it's very personal because we're at our core, when we're really great, we're heart centered. So it's like if you say something, wow, that affected me in that way, but truly nothing's personal because everybody's operating based on their slice, their fractal. So again, another good grounding piece to understand when, you know, you may be ultra angry about something that somebody says, and I don't expect that here, but I'm just saying it's good to keep it in the back of your head. It saves you from a lot of outbursts that, you know, you might have been able to save that energy for something better. Practicing empathy. So this is also important for us, you know, like again, everybody's at different stages, or we may find we're at the same stage, but generally everybody's at different stages in their understanding of a thing, right? That may very well be true with colorism. So in a conversation like that, you may have certain experiences or know-how about that perhaps someone else in the group is just not there, or it's not their lived experience. Does it make them wrong for not knowing it? Questionable. um Questionable in both regards. Like your experience is valid and so is theirs. Their inexperience is also valid. You get what I'm saying? So when we talk about practicing empathy, it's this ability to not just hear somebody, which was the first premise, but it's to take it one step further and actually put yourself in their position, you know, and understand what they might be feeling, thinking from that vantage point. The last one is be accountable for your words, ideas, and actions. So it goes without saying, but a lot of people aren't responsible. Like, as in, it's like this affected me. And so I'm going to say something in return um, because I feel like that was inflammatory, what you said, or I feel like it was coming from a place I didn't understand. We're in the digital age, so everybody's posting and talking. We see it a lot, especially those of us in the HR industry, people popping off online on Twitter like they know people, you know, until they get that clap back. And the reality is that the clap back often comes because people aren't being accountable for what they're saying. They're saying a lot of things, but they're not backing it up. Or they're not willing to own why they're saying the things that they're saying. So once it's out there for scrutiny. So in these discussions, when you say something, it's good to take a step back and think, like, is this going to improve the conversation, or is it going to decrease from the conversation? Like, it's kind of that juxtaposition. But that shouldn't stop you from saying what's absolutely authentic for you. It's just having that accountability, having the ability to back up your words and your ideas and your assertions so that people can understand. So I have no, slouches in the room, but I think we all need the reminder sometimes of how to kind of come into these conversations, even if it's just among us, so that it can be productive, because we are looking to do these things, not because it's Black History Month and we want to be cliche. We're doing these things to heal, right? In the hopes that in each of our respective professions, our callings, whatever it is, we can take that same energy out there in the world and spread it, right? Like, this is my thing. This is a piece of something that I give to my clients, but I want it to catch on. So in whatever way it ends up being helpful to you, whether that's in your personal life, your professional life, whatever, the goal is to heal and to be able to project that outward. So why are we even doing this? Like, why are we going to have these discussions? And this won't be the first discussion or the last, that we're going to have on some sort of subject like this. But the whole purpose is unity. I mean, why do we have a TTPC at all? Why? What is the necessity? Unity, right? Because we're better together for obvious reasons. One, because there's strength in numbers, and two, because as human beings and relational beings, we need one another. We may not want to say it, but that's just what it is. And so, under the context of the discussion of colorism and a lot of other things that may come up through the book club, the journey to unity really is about a longer game, than just, oh, let's just do a book club. Like, this isn't Oprah's book club, where we're doing it because it's clutch and it's cute. We're doing it so that we can learn together, fill in the blanks, and to also to relate to one another and come to a better understanding of how we're all living what we've experienced, and ideating around what is actually, I guess, the best path forward. Like, as everybody talks about the post-COVID world, like, what do we want to see different, and how do we become, I guess, ambassadors for that as TTPC members? Like, that's always my interest. I have no desire to do things for the sake of being like a cutesy woman's book club. That doesn't seem like a good use of my time. But what is a really good use of my time is if I think that we can come together and have a really rich and real conversation about something that I think has affected all of us, and use that to propel, our individual messages, our collective message as a group, and just like our purpose as a people. Like, the 1 month thing is over. We have a lot of work to do as a community. And my thing is, while I'm happy to take white people's money to pay me to help them fix their own problems and realize their own issues, I'd much rather spend my time fortifying us, as in BIPOC people, because we're all we got. And that's just what it is. So I am going to leave it there and kind of open up the floor for anybody who wants to add to what I had to say. Any thoughts, anything that you are, currently, I guess, dealing with in the realm of this at work that you want to share. Like, I'd love to hear it. So let me know. Was it helpful? Was it not? I'm going to mute myself. I've said enough.
Well, I do want to say I'm excited to tackle this topic. I'm probably going to have to do the book on audiobook just because I know with timing, I don't feel confident that I'll be able to read it, but I know that, at 10, 15 hours, I can do that listening between car rides and all those kinds of things. But I'm happy to see that we're tackling this topic. For me, colorism obviously is um, something I deal with regularly, being the lightest skinnedest non-biracial Black person that most everybody knows. It is just a topic that I don't get to talk about nearly enough. And so I'm happy to be tackling this topic in what I know to be a very safe space. And I'm excited to hear everybody share their experiences and thoughts as we go through the book. And I'm happy to be able to share my own experiences and thoughts again in a safe space. So I thank you guys for being willing to go here, because as Black women, as women of color, it's a topic that we really tippy toe and pussyfoot around with, but it's very prevalent. And so I'm just grateful to you all for being so, dare I say, brave and in willingness to go there immediately, and not starting out with some lighter version, no pun intended at all, but some lighter version of the topic, but really being willing to tackle this head on. So I definitely appreciate that.
Anybody else? Alrighty. I think it's gonna be good. I have not dug in. I'm gonna do the same. Audio is gonna be the way for me because the likelihood that I will flip pages is very slim. So I'm gonna have to get it in where I can. If you haven't signed up yet, definitely check your email. If not, then if you don't have it or you can't find it, let me know and I'll get you the link. Um, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be really, really good. I think this is exactly what we need right now. Um, and I think it'll help me to enrich some of my work around the topic because it's starting to be a discussion in corporate environments, oddly and awkwardly enough, but I think it'll help me with that as well. So book club on the 27th. I will see you guys again on March 6th, I believe it is. If you didn't get that meeting invite, then I'll send it again probably in the next few days. Definitely check in on Slack. So just to be clear in terms of from a process standpoint, I'll always send out emails as reminders to different things that are going on, but Slack is going to be kind of a primary place where you'll find a lot of things posted, whether it's just regular communications or, stuff that we're going to be having, events, different things like that. So if you're not on Slack, on the group like that, then definitely try to check in and see what's being spoken about. Yesterday, I shouted out Celinda. It was Celinda's birthday. She's not on today, no doubt, because she partied hard, the COVID way last night, which is all fine and good. So, yeah, we're going to try to use the Slack channel for a lot of the regular communication because I don't know about you, I have enough email, quite frankly. So I try not to be that person that like loads you up with a bunch of stuff, but that's how you'll see it. And you'll also, don't be shocked if you get emails from other people in the group too. So like for the book club, that came from Celinda. It's only because she owns events. So as we dig deeper as an executive council, basically I'm learning to delegate and trust some really brilliant people with my baby to do, what I really need them to do, which is to help me because doing all of that on my own just isn't sustainable. So, if you see something coming from someone else in the group, we're not spamming you. It's just they own that thing and we're excited about it or whatever the case is. And we just want you to get involved. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I saw in the chat that, people are intrigued, but we're going to leave all that for March. I'll just drop the bomb then. And we'll do a big celebration for that. And I will keep you guys posted in the next few weeks, like what the next topics will be. And we might even have a better calendar going forward for, some other events, the power sessions, speaker things. And I know Jasmine also had some ideas for some philanthropy things that we can do this quarter. So expect to kind of hear some things coming out of those camps as we figure out as executive council when we want to roll those things out. But I'm not going to keep you. I'm not going to be like these corporate people and just keep you to the 11 o'clock hour just so we can stare at each other. As much as I love seeing your faces, we'll just leave it right here at the 45 mark. You all have a great day. I will make sure the recording is up probably between tomorrow and Monday, as well as the chat. So the chat log, because everybody loves those. So we can keep track of our conversations, and I'll put the presentation up too. But you guys have a great day. Go rest. For those of you that are off camera, go rest and have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.